Hello everybody and long time no hear. I have to apologize that I disappeared for several months. I hope you guys have been doing so well and enjoyed your winter and amazing time now is coming because it's spring. At least where I live now, in Vienna, it has been very sunny and nice weather. Like today especially it was like 27 degrees outside. Celsius, yes, I have to mention that. And I've been cycling everywhere. I've been trying to cycle everywhere because now I don't need to think about what kind of jacket I have to bring with me and this kind of thing. So it's easier to cycle and I'm so happy because in summer or spring in hot seasons, I don't want to be inside of tram or metro because it starts to smell so bad, so crowded, so hot. So basically like you can touch sometimes someone's sweaty body because I'm not as in harassment, but just it's too crowded and I hate that. Anyway, I wanted to, kind of catch up, and I will be doing episodes on what I've been doing past months, bit by bit, and I hope you will enjoy my next episodes. But today it will be a very heavy topic to talk about or tell you guys because now is May and I'm publishing this episode on the 8th of May, which is Friday. And 2 years from now, on this day, my dad passed away. And I just wanted to honor this date to him and make a tribute. And I hope you will enjoy this episode and get to know my dad and our relationship. With this, welcome to Strudel Talk. So maybe I can give you like a background where we are coming from, especially my dad's side. So we are coming from where the Baikal Lake is in Russia, but back then it used to be part of Mongolia. And we are one of the small ethnic groups that Mongolia has, which is called Buryat. So I am also Buryat. And we have different facial features compared to real Mongolians. For instance, we do have very colorful eyes. My ancestors and my dad especially, he used to have this green / hazel brown eye color, but for me I have very much dark brown side. And also our face is more round, structured, and we have a big cheekbones, and bigger eyes. So sometimes people can mistaken me or us as if we are from Kazakhstan or something like this. So from my dad's side, yes, we are kind of mixed background, and my great-great-great-grandpa came to Mongolia because that time Russia was kicking out these ethnic groups and killing these people, of course, Russia. And then we decided to, or my ancestors decided to, move to Mongolia. And of course, they didn't have so much when they moved to Mongolia. And then, our culture, like Mongolians, we are very nomadic people. And still we keep this culture like nomads. So what means like we move around a lot because in the winter people tend to go to the mountainside because if it's windy the mountain can cover it, so it keeps warmth in that area. I'm trying to explain it way better, but sometimes it's very hard to explain it because some words are missing in my head. And anyway, in then summer we move more closer to the water, which is like a river or lake, mostly like river I would say, because it's easier to drink the water and etc. And so my ancestors moved to Mongolia, and then we got so much help from Mongolians in that area, and then we situated in one place, so that the Mongolians, they're nomads, right? But us Buryats, we're not actually nomads. What we do is that we build like house with the wood, wood panel or this kind of thing. We then reside in that area. So my dad is actually coming from countryside, and he was top student in his class and also whole school. And in one of our photo albums we have small session where my dad actually gave an interview with one of the journalists back in where he's coming from in the countryside. Like he got interviewed like what is his future plan, what he wants to do, what he wants to tell the young people, this kind of thing. And then we have the small section on it. And also I was checking his grades, and this was amazing because we have a different grading system in Mongolia. We go from 0 to 100 percentage, and 90 to 100 is like A or something like this. So it's a bit different than Western. And most of the things that he got was like almost reaching 100%. And because he was a brilliant student, he got a scholarship to Russia to go, because back then we were kind of under influence of Soviet Union. So we also had a program of sending brilliant students to Russia so that we have more force to come back to develop our country. And they got a baby, and that is my brother. And then they decided to move back to Mongolia, but meanwhile, life was not always the easiest, because they were both students and they didn't have so much money. So they decided to sell stuff from Mongolia to Russia, this kind of thing, and it was kind of illegal back then. So they had a tough life already. After, when they were done with their studies, they decided to move back to Mongolia, and first thing he landed was to work where he was coming from, in the countryside. And of course my mom followed him. And then later on they moved to the city, or the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, and where then I was born. And the thing is that I was so spoiled, like you cannot tell how much I was spoiled. And I think it's just because I'm the youngest and the daughter, something like this. And every time, apparently, when my dad was dropping off me at my kindergarten, I would cry, and then he'll be like, yeah, what do you want? And I'll be like, yeah, I want chocolate. And we would go to this small market to get a chocolate, and I'll be so happy to go into the kindergarten. So I was kind of manipulating him already, to get chocolate. And then whenever whatever was happening, I would call my dad. Like, for instance, whenever I was having a nightmare, then I would go to my dad and tell my dad, I've been having a nightmare. So he would go to my bed and I would sleep with my mom. And I have a very bad problem with my digestive system. Since I was a child, I could not go to toilet as often, like to do the number 2. And for me, oh my goodness, guys, in my memories, what I had to go through was crazy. I don't know what is wrong with my digestive system, or I don't know why I had very bad metabolism as a child. I have zero clue. So whenever I want to go to number 2, I would cry because it hurt so much. And then my dad would be there, then I would call my dad because I would be crying and this kind of shit. So yeah, my dad went through so much with me. And also somehow now I'm kind of healthy person, but once I was a child, I used to get food poisoning a lot somehow. And whenever I get food poison, I would get IV injection. And for that, guys, I am so much afraid of needle. And whenever the nurse or doctor is trying to find my vein to put that stupid needle, it would disappear. And they always had a hard time to find my vein. And then I'll be crying and shit because it's painful and I'm so scared and whatnot. And I'll be always like, oh, where is my dad? I need to wait my dad. If my dad is not around, I don't want to get this IV injection, this kind of thing. And then that much spoiled. I was so spoiled. And then my dad would come from work, and then I'll be on the bed and then looking at my dad something like this, as a spoiled daughter. And if you see my picture and my family picture, I'm like a copy paste of my dad. And personality wise, I'm very, very much closer to my dad. And also, of course, I took something from my mom as well, like this fighting with people. Actually, I tend to get into fight with people sometimes because I have this very hot blood in me somehow. And I don't like violence itself. I really don't like it. But then somehow I'm like, if someone hurts my family, I'm gonna come and punch you, or my friends, something like this. So I'm very overprotective, and this is coming actually kind of from my mom. But my dad's character is he is like a still water. You never know what's going on in his mind, and he's so quiet, he's so gentle. He always tells, by words. He doesn't come and then just hit you or something. He will be like, okay, I will talk to this person or something. And he doesn't like violence at all. And he respects the person even though the person is kind of telling bad things to him. And I don't understand how this is coming from, why. And I just never understood, because I am not on my dad's level in that matter and emotionally very intelligent person. So he can, be quiet in the moment, that people are going like a crazy and so on. Because for me, if I get mad, I sometimes really imitates how my dad is. Like my dad would be so quiet and he just listens and listens. And I think, judges from his side. Maybe he is taking his time to not to say something, against the person. But if he gets mad, like really mad, that's so scary. And to be honest, I haven't seen him that many times of being mad, maybe once or twice. And he was the equalizer between me and my mom. I have to say that me and my mom gets into arguments a lot or disagreements, and it has been there since since I'm conscious. And the thing is that I never understood why with my mom I'm like that, but he is the one who says like, oh, your mom didn't mean it like that, And sometimes when my mom doesn't talk to me at all, then he'll be the one who's asking how am I doing, this kind of thing. I mean, anyway, he used to ask me that, but he was this person that in between us, and then if something happens, of course I know I can talk to my dad. So once it happened that I was in actually San Francisco, and as I said, I was spoiled child, right? So when I was home during my summer break from my university when I was doing bachelor's, I was drinking Coca-Cola every freaking day, or Pepsi. So I would call my dad, when he was coming from his work. I'll be like, Dad, can you please bring me some Coke? And my mom, of course, she would be like, no, I don't want to give you Coke, this is so unhealthy, so much sugar, blah blah blah. But then I was like, I need this nasty shit. So my dad would bring it and I would just drink, I don't know, like Pepsi and Coke every day. I don't know, guys, how I was so addicted. And then I gained so much weight. Oh my Jesus Christ. And then I went to United States to do my bachelor internship. And then every day, my mom would call me like, oh, you have to go to gym, blah, blah, blah. And then I would be like kind of stupid rebel. And I was like, no, I don't want to. But then sometimes I really did go to gym and she was still repeating. And at some point I was like, I got fed up about it. And then we had, argument about it. And she was like, I don't want to talk to you. And we didn't talk for like 3 weeks or something. But meanwhile, poor my dad, he was, in between, not knowing what to do. It's my daughter, my wife, blah, blah, blah. So he would be like, asking kind of on behalf of my mom, like, are you going to the gym or something like this? And then I'll be like, yeah, ma, like, not ma, dad, I know who is letting you to, ask this kind of question. So then at some point, when I was looking at myself and where I was living, actually, I was living with like 3-4 women like older than me in one big very apartment. And San Francisco is quite expensive, so I was subletting a room together with one of my like friend's sister, let's say. And there I met so many nice Mongolians, and one of them is really into gym. And I kind of followed her path or pattern of going into the gym and looking at her like that she's taking care of her body, and she looked amazing. And she still looks amazing, by the way. So I was thinking like, what the fuck, Mara? And also one of my this friend sisters kind of challenged me, like, if you can lose within a month like 10 kilo, I will get you this, something like that. But I did lose 10 kilo within a month. And guys, I was so under calorie deficiency because I was eating maybe once a day, like something very small, and the rest of the day I wouldn't eat. If I want to eat, maybe I will snack on like baby carrots or something like this. And then I really did lose that freaking 10 kilos. And she never get me stuff. And I have to maybe remind her now, like, hey, sister, you have to, get me a thing that you told me to do. But anyway, during this time, of course, my dad and my mom were supporting me so much with money, with, everything. Because as I said, I was a spoiled child and I wanted to do this and that. And they did let me do it. But meanwhile, I did not know how much they were actually suffering money-wise. That's the thing, I did not know so many things, and I got to know that later, that after I don't know how many years, that my mom would tell me, and I'll be like, why didn't you tell me? And then she'll be like, yeah, but you're far away from home, and we didn't want you to have this burden of like, yeah, we are not doing so well, and we would get a loan to support you. And I was like thinking, what the fuck, the whole time I am being this spoiled motherfucker and wanting to do so many things in my life because I am that spoiled, then I was not looking at the things what that how my parents were supporting me and, having a hard time back home. And they were hiding it so much from me. And now whenever I think about it, I feel so stupid, to be honest. Like, I feel like, what the fuck, Mara? Like, how can you be this dumb daughter? And this kind of thing really making me like sometimes frustrated. And, I don't know how to say, like, I don't know how to make it into words, but you may understand that, I was studying and I was getting support from my parents. And this doesn't happen to so many people. And I should have appreciated it even more. But, back then I was making arguments and this kind of thing. And looking back at my 22, 3-year-old self, I'm just like, look, Mara, like, you're fucking spoiled as motherfucker. You're not doing part-time job. You're just getting money from your parents. And then, you only one thing you have to do was just study. And that was my duty, And at the same time, I feel like why also I was so, I don't know, not adult enough to look at the things that just to ask my parents if they're doing okay financially or this kind of thing. And now I feel like, wow, Mara, like, now you're 32 years old. Isn't it a bit too late? Like, you're already adult. Now you work, of course. But back then, your parents were actually supporting you and trying to feed you still. And living in a country like in Austria, things are way more different and expensive than back home. And everything is in euro. So yeah, I kinda, feel guilty about this, They spend so much their own life to make me to have a better life, which I am actually. I'm very happy that I have my, own, like, I have my job and I have my friends here. I mean, I do rent an apartment, and with my probably like our age group, nobody owns at the moment like apartment or this kind of thing. And I wish I could tell all of this to my dad. But this is the thing, right? Like, when someone passes away suddenly, you have so many these things, builds up in your head and you don't know what to do with it, because nobody expects that someone would, go away that fast, from earth. At least that's how I feel. And I wish I could have told him more that I appreciated his support and his wisdoms and everything, like the things that I never told him. This is making me actually very sad whenever I think about it. And I hope the listeners, you guys, if you have a chance to tell your parents how much you appreciate them, how much, support they give you and how much love they give you, please just tell them back as well if you can. For sure, many of you appreciate your parents in a way, but it doesn't mean, like harm saying it or showing an action, because you never know when they will leave, like whenever they can leave this place, and nothing is guaranteed, So yeah, please just sometimes if you have a moment, and not only like Mother's Day or Dad's Day or something like this, every day should be also celebrated in a way. Yeah, so this is the thing that what my parents did to me to have me a very good life in Austria, and here I am making a podcast or episode on it. So yeah, going back to my dad, how he used to support me, because he's the one actually who found my university back then, and like when I started the bachelor's, because he really wanted me to become a biotechnologist. He saw the future. He thought, okay, lab will be one of the things that will improve, it will be still ongoing, like I don't know how to say, every day there's new things happening in our field, and everybody's working on very molecular level or very basic science, or even different way of like studying cancer, curing cancer, therapy, whatnot. So our field can shift many ways, and if you have the basic knowledge about some kind of a techniques that can be used in many areas, it's so good. You can shift your projects, you can shift your areas. For instance, me, I don't have any knowledge about cancer so much, but then I was in a company where they were studying or trying to find a therapy for blood cancer patients. So from my background, back then I was like a stem cell research area, and then I shifted to cancer, and then now back to something else. This is the thing, that he saw this future like opportunity for me, that I will have better life rather than becoming a medical doctor. And to be honest, I'm so happy that I never got accepted to the medical university in Vienna, or of Vienna, whatever, because guys, I I'm so afraid of blood, especially human blood. I don't mind about seeing small amount of blood, but big, no way. And I don't want to touch dead people because they do that, right? And I'm like, no, no, no. Because as soon as I maybe touch someone, I feel like I'm gonna hurt this one person. So I think I'm so afraid of, kind of work with people, because this is also a very big responsibility, and I don't wanna, do something wrong, and then, this kind of thing. What if I kill someone without knowing, and I'm a very bad medical doctor? Then it's gonna be so bad, and I cannot forgive myself if I do that. So thankfully, I never ever went to that direction, and I'm so happy now I am where I am, and I'm very happy that he's the one who set my road, and I'm very thankful for that. He did want me to come back to Mongolia to settle there and then have job there. Of course, every parent's wish, right, that they want to have their children closer to them. And I also understand that they're getting older, and then I wish I could also be closer to my mom, but it's so unfortunate that where I'm coming from, the field is not so good, and I don't know exactly what to do whenever I go back. I don't have job opportunity, to be honest, and maybe I will land somewhere, but then I don't know if I'm gonna be happy as much as I am here in Vienna. And also my mindset got changed so much that I can really feel sometimes whenever I go back home. I am very autistic there, let's say, and then whenever I think about that the part that I used to tell my dad, like I would tell like that, like the opportunity I can see in Vienna is bigger and I can do more. And he understood that part, and he was supporting me, and he would also tell me like get your permanent residency, and once you have this you will be more on the ground of that. You don't need to worry about visa so much. So he was always supporting this kind of area, so that he can be not worried so much about visa, because living in different country on visa is super hard, guys. Maybe some people will understand what I'm trying to say, or will know, because every year as a student you have to show I don't know how much thousands of euros so that you can support yourself and be in this country, and every freaking year, and it increases because of freaking inflation. And then another thing is that once you're done with your student visa, if you don't have a job, you have like 6 months to find a job. And of course all of this competition and this kind of thing, if you're lucky you will stay in this country, if not then you have to go back. And us, like a third country people, we fight for this, we fight for our future. We are often on the edge of the feeling like, okay, this year like this, we need this, we have to survive, and this kind of thing. And I wish sometimes I was like a EU citizen, then I don't need to worry about at least this part. But for us, unfortunately, we have to worry about extra thing. And of course, this was one of the things that my dad was also worried about it, but he did support me all the time. And before his death, I got my permanent residency, and then I sent to him the picture of it, the card, and then he was super happy. He was like, oh, finally, now I can relax or relive. And I was kind of happy that, at least he got to know that in this country I can live longer without worrying about visa, or if I ever change my job, I won't be worried about at least this part. So I'm very grateful that at least he had this opportunity to experience. So when I was in high school, going back in times, either my mom or my dad would go to my class meeting, something like this. So it would happen maybe once a year or twice a year, that the class teacher, is it called class teacher? Okay, I forgot the name. So whoever the teacher took over that class would give like an meeting and talk about the students, what's happening in the class, this kind of thing. And then back then I was, I think, like 13 years old, and I had a crush on this one boy, and I think I did not know how to express my feelings then. So I decided to punch him and kind of weirdly bully him. And but then I thought that was my kind of love language. And of course this guy was not having fun, so he did tell his parents and say, oh, Mara has been doing this to me. And the thing is, my real name is not Mara, and it's like a Amar Baiskalan, and this is very unisex name. And then this guy's dad, or this boy's dad, of course, attending the class meeting, and then he stood up and said, whose son is Amar Baiskalan, and why is he kind of bullying my son? He has been, teasing him a lot. What is this? And then my dad said, well, first of all, that's my daughter, and second of all, yes, I will talk to my daughter. And then I was like thinking like, oh my goodness. And of course my dad comes and said, hey, who is this boy that you are going after and then, teasing him or kind of punching him? And I'll be like, yeah, well, Dad, yes, yeah, and I was so ashamed to explain my love language and I couldn't. Oh my goodness. And I was like, shit. And then of course I stopped doing that, and I was so ashamed. I was thinking like, fuck, I shouldn't be, expressing my love this way. This is weird. I don't know where I even learned this shit. And then later on, my parents decided to go to China, and because actually my dad was diabetic, and he had a very big problem of thyroid. So our medical system is also not the best. And sometimes you will not get accurate result from whatever result you do. So people tend to go abroad to get physical examination and this kind of tests. So he went to China to do so. And they were asking like, oh, what would you like to have from China? And my stupid ass was back then so much fan of Big Bang. It's like a K-pop band. And I was telling my dad, can you please bring a Big Bang? And he was like, what is Big Bang? And I was like, yeah, this is such a cool K-pop band that I'm into, and I want to have the CD of them, because back then, we were listening to CDs. And then he was like, sure. And he brought, and he was like, yeah, this is your Big Bang. And then on the cover it says Dongbang Shinki. And I'm like, Dad, it says Dongbang Shinki. What is this? And he was like, oh, didn't you say something with bang? And I was like, yes, I told you Big Bang, but not the Dongbang. So he was like, oh yeah, okay, sorry. We thought you wanted to this, this Dongbang. And because you were saying something with bang, and I bought it, and I was like, no. And then, guys, I got this random CD from this actually also very famous, I think it's K-pop band as well, like back then. And then I was like kind of sad to, have this Dongbang Shinki or something like this pronounced. And I was like, shit. And I kind of listened to the CD and I never liked it because I was like, oh, I wanted to have Big Bang. And anyway, apparently my dad knew that, I wanted to have Big Bang, and that they couldn't find it. And then since they couldn't find it, they wanted to get me something very similar. And then they got Dongbang Shinki because it has the bang. And so many years later, they told me this story. And you see, guys, like how much I'm so freaking spoiled. And this is a bad sign, because once your dad dies, because you're a spoiled daughter, you feel like empty. Like you feel like there's gonna be no one that's gonna protect you. There's gonna be no one telling you, like about your future and consulting your future and this kind of thing. Because I realized like so many questions that I wanna ask from my dad, I cannot anymore, right? So I do ChatGPT, or I try to ask my brother, but he also does not know certain things. And then there I struggle so much, like. The first time that I had a very big, like a mental breakdown after he died, was that I was buying a washing machine. And it's also on me that I never thought about logical part of the washing machine. So guys, hear me out. After my dad's death, I was in this position of I had to move out from my old apartment because I wanted to live alone. I never did this in my life before. I always shared apartment or room, or a small complex, let's say, and always had roommates. And then for me, I thought I would like to live alone, and why not? So even before my dad's death, I was telling them like I would like to live alone. And my mom was even telling me, oh, should I send your dad to Austria so that he can help you with moving in? And I was like, no, mom, come on, like it's so stupid to just sending dad here, I can do it by myself. And she was like, okay. Anyway, so everybody knew that I was moving out, but of course nobody expected that my dad will will pass away. And it happened in May, 8th of May. And the thing is that I went home, of course, immediately, but it was also very hard for me to go back home because I had to wait for the next flight and this kind of thing. Guys, living abroad, it's tough. Especially if something happens like this. You have to wait and you cannot just fly immediately. And this is one of the things, so not so many flights are given to Mongolia because not so many people go to Mongolia. And even nowadays, whenever I tell people like I'm from Mongolia, they will go, what is that? So it can happen that. So I had to wait 2 days. And anyway, I came home and did all the funeral and everything. And then I had to come back because, time is ticking. I have to move out because end of June is coming. And that time it was end of May. So guys, I had to come back. And I'm also earning the money in Austria. I have to work and I need the money, this kind of thing. And I was just hating in that moment being an adult. I was hating in that moment that I have to come here or come to Austria because I need the money. I have to work. That's how it is gonna be. And I have to cooperate with that. And then I came back here. I had to find a freaking apartment within I don't know how many days. It didn't go smoothly, of course, because apparently so many people were also looking for an apartment so much, and I had so many competition wherever the apartment I wanted to have would be gone or given away. And then I was thinking, okay, you know what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what can I do in this moment? And I don't know, I think I was probably going crazy and I was trying to maintain myself as much as I could, at least at work, professionally. But this kind of thing, sometimes people cannot control. So probably my mood was changing a lot and I was not realizing it, and thankfully people were very nice to me back then. Probably I was kind of becoming aggressive person, and I can relate to that even now that I became very aggressive person. Usually I'm very chill, certain things, but then sometimes I'm no, fuck it. I'm not gonna accept this kind of shit, because I used to be oh, everything is fine, blah blah blah, but then now I'm oh, fuck you. I'm just moved into different direction. I was so lucky with my current apartment. So this realtor, oh my god, bless their soul, heart, whatever, eyes, whatever you say, because I really wanted to have one of this apartment. Was quite cheaper, closer to where I used to live, also to my work. But I didn't like how it looked because one room was too big, but other room was too small, and the toilet, bathroom were together and also very huge. So the infrastructure for me, I didn't like it. I was fuck, one of the rooms is too big, that has to become my bedroom in a way, also my then living room. So I will have this one big ass room, and the other small room can become, I don't know, maybe chilling room in the evening when I don't want to be in my bedroom / studio apartment, let's say. And I can also hang out in my bathroom because it's huge. And I was thinking, okay, this is it. I don't have much time. I have to move out within a week or even 2 weeks. And they said, okay, sorry, this apartment needs to go to that person because apparently they have ranking system, blah blah blah. And I was sure, give it to that person. I don't mind. If that person really in need, yes, that person can have it. That's what I said. And then I was thinking okay, and these people knew that I was in a very bad position, and they were okay, there's another apartment that is kind of in the middle of renovation, but it's ending soon, and you can get this apartment from 1st of July. And I was what? And they're it's not on the advertisement. If you want to, you can have a look at it, and then we can decide. And I was of course, I want to look at it. Immediately I fell in love. I came to visit. I was this is amazing apartment. I would love to have this. And they were okay, then we will, forward this to the landlady. And I met the landlady. I spoke German, and in that moment, I don't know how I was functioning, guys. I have zero idea. And probably my friends can tell you even more how I was back then. Maybe I was going crazy here and there, and I was actually drinking so much alcohol, and nowadays not anymore. That's a lie. Sometimes I do drink. But anyway, so I got the apartment and I was waiting for the contracts to sign. It was not coming in. and I was thinking, fuck, what am I gonna do? End of June is approaching. Soon I have to move out. I cannot live in this old apartment longer. And then I was, going after realtor again and again, and they were like, yeah, we are making the contract, please wait, blah blah blah. And then thankfully the contract came, and then they said, maybe you cannot move in on the 1st of July, but within the 2 weeks or something, or first week. And I was like, fuck, where am I gonna do? And then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna ask my old landlady if I can stay there for 2 weeks more, and I will pay half of the whatever I have to pay. And then plus I started to pay the other one, so I lost so much money. But that's what I had to do, right? I didn't have the new apartment, but I had the old one. And then also, finally, I decided to, cancel all the contracts with electricity, gas, whatnot, everything. So yes, I didn't have hot water, electricity, and I had to stay like this for I don't know how many days, maybe like a week, until the new apartment was ready. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I will survive, I survived the moment that I lost my dad. I had to be an adult, and I came back to Austria to work on my life. And for me, I didn't give a shit if I didn't have electricity or gas or hot water. I was just thinking, you know what? I will survive. It's not the end of my life, and I will do whatever it takes to do. And that's what I did. So after a week, I moved in, and I didn't have bed and this kind of thing because I had to move the stuff from my old apartment to the new. So I was sleeping on the ground and this kind of shit. To be honest, I didn't care. And the only thing I cared was that I have now apartments, and I have work, and another thing is that I have beautiful friends surrounding me. They were so supportive. I cannot explain how much support I got from them, and sometimes I feel like I am taking them granted. So with this opportunity, I have to tell everybody that supporting me still, I love you guys so much. And sometimes that I may not be the perfect friend to you guys, but I am really doing my best to be a functional person. But sometimes it's very hard for me because some days I just dissociate from reality. And this happens a lot to me. And so since everything was set, I started to slowly move in. All the time, guys, I was thinking I wish my dad was here to help me with at least this or that. And I still don't have fucking ceiling lamp, because me, motherfucker, I don't know how to put a ceiling lamp. I don't know how to connect, and I don't want to ask a technician to do it or electrician, because then I have to pay for them for a certain amount of money. And I just have the hanging normal light bulb from there, so my apartment still looks like, as if I moved in yesterday. But to be honest, I don't give a shit. It's just renting apartment, And then this washing machine, my dumb motherfucker, I did not, measure the door width. If my freaking washing machine can fit to the bathroom. And apparently I bought 2 white washing machine, but the brand was so good and it was on sale. So yeah, they couldn't put it inside because they were like, girl, this is not fitting in. And I was like, shit, and I had to send it back and this kind of thing. Oh my god. And for MediaMarkt, if you want to send stuff back, it's not for free, you have to pay. So if the big appliances that that it fits and you don't need to send it back, MediaMarkt is amazing. But if it doesn't go how you thought to be, you have to pay much money back to send it back. So I was like blaming myself and thinking, oh, you're so stupid. And then in that moment I was thinking, oh, if I were talking to my dad, like, hey dad, I want to buy this kind of washing machine, what kind of washing machine should I buy? He would have probably said, have you measured the door width, this kind of thing, because obviously he would have asked. and my dumb ass never thought about it. And my mom also says she never thought about that. And yeah, this is the one of the first lessons I learned as in weird adult shit. And then another things is that slightly, something that I need to repair. Like I don't need also like technician or electrician, but I need to repair some things. Then I will be like, oh, I wish I could ask my dad. He would have known what to do because I hit my wall now when I was about to put the freaking nail on it so I can hang a poster, but accidentally I hit the wall. So now I have a hole in the wall, and I've been asking my friends how to do what. Yeah, like, there are so many lessons that I'm learning. And other thing is that changing jobs. I used to ask my dad, and now I have to do this decision by myself. Yeah, and I realized that, this kind of all support that I used to get is not there anymore, and I feel very lonely. And I cry because of that, that I miss my dad so much. And I will never hear his voice ever again. And sometimes some people say like, oh, we're so lucky that I have, a video record from my parents or whatnot. And I realized I don't have so many videos or pictures. And that also made me so sad. Like, what the fuck, Mara? What kind of person are you? And thankfully I have a video of him on YouTube because he gave interview with one of these people that kind of goes around and finds people who are working hard and trying to develop Mongolia in a better way. But yeah, so he's one of that person, or used to be one of that person. And I watch that video time to time if I want to hear about how his voice sounds, because it's so sad that at some point you indeed forget about certain things, but then again it's your dad. And this is the feeling that I cannot really distinguish, or have to say like, he's my dad, so I should not forget about him, but then my memories are distorting that sometimes I feel like I don't know how he sounds. And this makes me feel extra disappointed kind of in myself, because this is not how it should be. And I'm so afraid of so many things, that sometimes I feel like I don't miss him enough. Am I starting to forget about him, because my life is moving on. I have a sassy cat, so she's taking my whole, energy, and I have to have work because I have to, feed a cat. And for me, I didn't care. Like, I'm a one person, and if I eat pasta fucking every day, I don't mind, but I cannot do this to my cat, right? So I have also extra responsibility. And then I realized like sometimes like, oh, like I used to cry so much before I got this cat. I used to cry often, to be honest, and people thought I never cry. I don't cry so much, but because I do it when I'm home. And of course I would dream my dad, and that's the point, like, when you wake up, you feel like, wait, I did accept that he is now not here anymore, and that took me forever to accept. And now I can, face my fears and this kind of thing. So I know he is not here anymore. But guys, when I have a dream of him the next day, oh Jesus Christ, my whole mood is so bad, because for me it makes me feel like he's still alive, and I'm very confused. But then in reality it's not like that. So in that moment it's like I cannot control my tears. I would just cry. Yeah, that's how I'm coping, And people cope with grief differently. My mom, my brother, and me, and the rest of the family, other people who lost their beloved ones, for sure they are doing it differently. And here I want to tell you that there's nothing right or wrong, because for us, at least for me, whatever I'm doing to myself, things, it's the right way, because this is maybe what I need to, to cope to this kind of event, that happened indeed in my life. As I said, it took me forever to accept it, because I just couldn't, and I felt everything was unfair. Why my dad especially, and why not other people, that there are very bad people out there. And this kind of thing, I keep thinking and then making myself, this aggressive person. And because of this, I tend to, be more mean to people. And that's why I start to, dissociate myself away from people because I don't want to hurt my friends and this kind of thing. And I do boxing time to time, like punching the bag shit out of it because I just need it. And the thing is that, everybody goes through hard times. I'm not saying that it's not only me, but everybody does. And I don't want to hurt someone when they're going through something and they're trying their best to survive in this world by saying some mean stuff, And to be honest, I've been called so many times that I'm such a mean person. And to be honest, I never meant to, be this malicious person to, attack people. I don't have intention to make people get hurt, their feelings. But if I did so, I'm so sorry, but I never intend to do so. So since people start to judge you in a way, you want to, be away from people. But deep down, guys, like I have so much anger issue that after all of this happened, because I cannot accept things being unfair, and I still feel whatever happened to our family is so unfair. That my dad passed away when he was like 58 years old, and I wish, he was still with us. I deal every day this kind of pain in my chest, but I don't want anyone to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden to anyone. That's the one thing I wanted to tell. I don't know, nobody should have a hard time because I am having a hard time. My friends should not, my mom should not, my brother should not. So that's why I try my best to be the best person ever in people's life. But of course, I cannot be perfect. So yeah, it is hard. Time to time, there are better days. Sometimes I wish like I could go out and just run somewhere and start my life again. So yeah, if someone ever listening to this episode and lost your beloved ones, you know how it feels. I'm not saying that people are being not empathic or something, but the thing is, when you go through such an event, you know how it feels. You can connect even more to this kind of people because you understand the pain, and it's something different. And people say like, I have to break up with someone, it hurts a lot, it's painful, blah blah blah. When you lose someone that is very precious in your life, the pain is different. You will never know people what they're going through. People hide their emotions, especially when you're going through grief. It will be always there. It will never go away. And death is the thing that you cannot avoid. It will come to you anytime in any form, to whom you never know. It can happen suddenly. It can happen throughout, events of life. And one thing is that people who stay afterwards, they're the one who has to deal with this big loss. I wanted to tell people that we should make this kind of topic, like a death or losing someone, like not like a taboo topic, but more, in a way of appreciation, showing the person that, used to be in our life, that gave us so much importance. I don't know, like I have faced so often that, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Okay, yes, it's so sorry position. Yes, I'm also sorry for myself, but I don't want to bring this sadness in people's life, but I want to bring this, you have to remember the person. We can talk about it openly, who the person was. Why can't we appreciate who they were in our life openly, like how we would celebrate people's birthdays? But I'm not like gonna be celebrating like over my head, like, yeah, this person is that, blah blah blah. It's nothing like that. I just want to give the appreciation and remembrance on these people, because they will be always remembered in our heart, but for other people it will be forgotten. So this is also why I want to do this episode. I want to remember my dad. I want to talk about him without making people sad, because I can see that from their face. That's why it's easier for me to talk behind the microphone, and also sharing my experience, because I know in my life there are some people who lost their precious ones, and if they are willing to talk about them, I'm very happy to listen. And if not, of course, you can always keep it in your heart. They will always gonna be there, even though their physical body is buried deep in the earth. their soul will be always around us and will be always remembered in our heart. With this, I am actually coming to end of my episode, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And I told you it's gonna be a very heavy topic. Haha, ho ho, I told ya. And I will be posting every second week on Fridays my new episodes, so please subscribe me and follow me. On Instagram you will be seeing what is up to date, and tell the people, share the words that I'm back again, and thanks for always being there for me and listening to my podcast. With this, until next episode, bye.